welcome back to my channel. So a little bit of a different video today. I wanted to sort of give you some insights. I think it's interesting around how the perfume industry sort of works and who really makes your fragrance. It's such an interesting world and it's not how it appears from the outside. And starting my perfume brand, I've learned so much and how difficult it is for a new brand to enter the market. So I just thought it would be really interesting. If you are new here, then do check out my hundreds of other videos on whole ranges, new releases, perfume notes. And if you're a regular, do make sure you're subscribed. Give the video a thumbs up. And also do let me know if there's any other things you want me to talk about in videos like this. So the first thing to note about your perfume is it probably isn't made by the brand that's on the box, on the name of the perfume. Perfumes tend to work in a kind of a licensing agreement. So a company will buy the license to use the Gucci brand and make the Gucci perfume, and for maybe 5 years, and then it will go up for sale and they might repurchase it or another company might then buy it. So there are these big companies that behind the scenes are making a lot of the different major brands. So probably one of the biggest is LVMH. So LVMH stands for Moet Hennessy Louis Vuitton, and they are a French company. The CEO of the company is one of the richest men in the world. He keeps pushing Elon Musk off and Bezos like off the top spot. LVMH have been so successful in taking brands and relaunching them and making them successful. One of the best examples I've seen is Bulgari. So Bulgari was this jewelry brand, but it wasn't particularly cool. I think they were struggling, and LVMH bought them. And now Bulgari, like, their fragrances are popular. Their bags have become like it bags, so trendy. They totally like rejuvenated and created a brand that people want. They're really clever with their brands. Probably their biggest brand is Dior. So they create all the Dior perfumes. They also have Guerlain, Givenchy, Louis Vuitton, Kenzo, Fenty, and of course Maison Francis Kurkdjian de Jean. And they've also employed Francis Kurkdjian de Jean as their like creative director for the perfume for Dior. So he's involved in creating the Dior perfumes now, as well as them owning his personal brand. They also own Acqua di Parma, and this is something that really strikes me as quite a few of these brands present themselves as very niche. You may have noticed that my perfumes, my brand, my Aphrodite just won a Fragrantica vote for best British niche perfume. And one of the things that really struck me is looking at like some of the other people. I think it was a Penhaligon's fragrance that came second. You look at the Penhaligon's branding, traditional English, it's been going for like 100 years. You imagine that it's owned by this old English family and they're making it in like a little lab in like Covent Garden or something, and you know, you imagine it being so niche. I mean, Penhaligon's is a multi-million brand owned by Puig, which is another one of these big companies that owns a lot of brands. They'll be manufactured in the same place as all the other Puig brands. So for example, Puig own Nina Ricci. So you know, your £30 Nina Ricci fragrance is made in the same place as your £250 Penhaligon one. They'll source the bottles from the same place. The perfume will be made in the same like factory. It's just all the way it's presented in the marketing which makes it seem so different. Puig also have Jean Paul Gaultier, Carolina Herrera, Paco Rabanne. They make the Christian Louboutin perfumes. And relatively recently they bought Byredo, which was an independent perfume house created in Sweden. I think they bought it for 350 million euros, which is pretty amazing. So the next big company that creates a lot of fragrances is L'Oreal. So they own a lot of the big ones. So Lancome, Armani, Yves Saint Laurent. They recently bought Mugler, Viktor and Rolf, Ralph Lauren, Prada, Diesel. They own Maison Margiela. So again, you wouldn't expect that your £20 Cacharel and more is made in the same place as your £100 Aesop fragrance, right? But it is. Another big company is called Coty. They bought out 50% of cosmetics, Kylie Jenner's brand. They do Marc Jacobs, Tiffany, Hugo Boss, Gucci, Escada, Chloe, Calvin Klein. I find in general the Coty ones tend to not be that great. quality, I personally find they tend to feel a bit cheaper and not as good for lasting, but that's just what I've personally noticed. And then the other really big one is Estée Lauder. So Estée Lauder own so many of the brands, and you'll see them all next to each other. You go in a department store and they'll all be grouped together. So they own Jo Malone, they own Le Labo, they own Kilian, they own Tom Ford. They also own a lot of skincare brands. They are a massive, massive powerhouse American company. So those are kind of the main massive companies. And then what they do is they work with perfume scent companies to hire a perfumer and to create a scent. So the two big ones are Givaudan and Firmenich. So if you're a perfumer, you'll go and work for one of these companies and you'll be hired by like L'Oreal to create the next perfume. The perfumer who creates my fragrances doesn't work for one of these. She's an independent. She started her career at Givaudan, Ruth Mastenbrook, but now she's an independent. And there are maybe about 10, 15 sort of big perfumers who create a lot of the big famous fragrances that you know and love today. And they basically work for those two companies. What then happens is in each country, brands will use a distributor. L'Oreal, Estée Lauder will have one company that distributes their perfumes in the UK. So they're kind of like a middleman that hold it. Sometimes they'll look after the marketing and the PR for the brands, sometimes they won't. And they will then go and sell the products and manage the delivery and everything into Boots, the perfume shop, Sephora, whatever. When I worked in an independent fragrance shop, what would happen is the rep would come from one of these distributors. So my favorite was KGA, Kenneth Green Associates. So the rep would come maybe every 3 months, every quarter, and be like, these are the new releases. How much more do you want to order of all our different brands that we distribute? And there would be conditions as well. So if you want to stock all our brands, if one of the brands releases a new perfume, you have to take some of it. Like you have a minimum order, you have to take like 12 units of it or something. They have that like power, I guess, to help launch a brand. And so I think what's important to sort of understand is in the price of a perfume, actually creating it is very, very small. But you then have all these companies that are taking a cut along the supply chain before it gets to the customer. The perfume house, the brand that owns it, the distributor, then the retailer. So a lot of the price of the perfume is that, but then most of the price of a typical perfume is marketing. And I guess what I wanted to do with my fragrance range is kind of disrupt that a bit. So I don't have a distributor. I'm not using one of these massive perfume houses to create it. So I can spend much more on the actual quality of the perfume ingredients and the concentration. So the fragrance oil that you put in the perfume is the most expensive part of creating the whole perfume. And a lot of perfumes will have maybe 10% perfume oil concentration and the rest is water, alcohol, and preservatives and stuff. My Aphrodite is 30%, Empress is 40%. So I'm spending much, much more than these brands on making them much more concentrated so it lasts better. The advantage the big brands have, of course, is economies of scale. So they're creating millions and millions of units. So their price point per perfume is much smaller as well. So it costs me much more to make one perfume because I'm not getting millions made, right? So when a perfume gets discontinued, like the Miss Dior Absolutely Blooming, that's why it still hangs around for a while. It doesn't just suddenly disappear off the shelf because LVMH will have placed an order for 1 million perfume bottles to be made, and they'll be holding so much stock across distributors, retailers. It can take years for a discontinued perfume to actually disappear from the marketplace because they don't make it and then it arrives in the shop a few weeks later. Like there's a lot of stock floating about, a lot of time between when they decide to stop making something and when it actually stops being available in the shops. So yeah, I thought that was interesting for you guys. It's certainly interesting to me. I had no idea. I understand that the sunglasses business is very similar as well, where brands just license to, I think there's one Italian company that makes most sunglasses. They're not really created by like Gucci, whatever. They're just licensed their name. But I think it's really interesting how it works. Let me know if there are any other questions you want me to answer in a video like this, and do give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. I do really appreciate you watching my videos. But that's it, guys. So thanks so much for watching as always, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.